They also have the clock going over there, which I cannot see. Okay. If you cannot see the time up there, they also have card holders telling you how many minutes or seconds left. Okay? Okay, you ready? You guys ready to start the clock? Oh, yeah, don't forget the lay. You gotta lay it in first. See, lay it with the nuts. Lay it with the nuts. Yeah, thank you for whoever donated the kukui nut lays. Thank you very much. Okay, first question for Kiani, and then we'll pass it down. We'll start with Kiani first, and then the question will move down to the last candidate, and then the next we'll rotate. We'll start with Coral. Okay? First question: what will you do to solve the interim zoning problem?
Uncle Brian, I think we're going to start with an introduction for 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then
Who are these guys? That's right. Sorry. So 1 minute each for introduction and 1 minute, or 2 minutes for introduction. And how many minutes for the question? 2 minutes. So 4 minutes total. Okay? 2 minutes. That's a lot of time for introduction. Okay, we're gonna introductions first, 2 minutes each. And then the question, I'll read again. 2 minutes. Okay, go ahead, Kevin.
Aloha mai kako, ohana. My name is Kiani Rollins Fernandez, and I would be honored to serve as your next county council member, Maui County Council member for Moloka'i. As many of you know, I was born and raised here. I am the daughter of Liko and Kana Wallace, and granddaughter of Junior Rollins and Faye Pacheco, and Charlie Wallace and Leilani Wallace. This is my home, and I love my home, and I love my community. I love all of you, and that's why I'm running for county council. I went away for school. I earned a degree in law, specializing in environmental law and Native Hawaiian law. And at the same time, I earned a master's degree in business administration. While I was at law school, I worked for Representative Jarrett Ke'ohakalole, and last year I worked for Council Member Ellie Cochran. So I have a strong legislative background. This year, I worked as the lead advocate for Hawaii Center for Food Safety, and was successful in passing the first state regulation on regulating pesticides to protect our keiki. I have extensive community work. I'm the president of Ho'olehua Civic Club, and I'm on the board of directors of Moloka'i Community Child Abuse Prevention Pathways, and I humbly ask for your vote. Kiani Rollins Fernandez, mahalo.
Mahalo Yesu Christo. My name is Cora Schnackenberg, Caparita Schnackenberg, and I have a hard time sitting and speaking, so I cut my name is Cora Caparita Schnackenberg. I am from Moloka'i. I was raised here at age 6. My parents are Late Estacio, also known as Capi Caparita, and Judy Naki Caparita, Kupuna Judy Naki Caparita. My background, wow, so many. I played volleyball for Moloka'i High School, and I've been so much involved while I was at age 8 here. Most of you have raised me, and most of you, I call you auntie and uncles. But I'm here, my background is social services. I have worked in the Child Protective Services. I also did a lot of work in reentry programs. with inmates that are able to visit their home on furloughs. And also, I also work with the department of the MPD, with the Maui Police Department and the Dare Employee Program. So what I do right now is I'm a therapist by day, and I work with parents that have difficulty managing their children with delinquent behaviors. And at night, I work for adults with disability and autism. So mahalo, I would appreciate your support, and vote, vote, vote. Mahalo.
Aloha, everyone. I'd like to first of all mahalo the organization that's putting this together and affording us the opportunity to come here and talk story. Most of all, I'm very proud to be Kikioka'i o Moloka'i. And I come before you today with a trail of experience. What I value is just plain basic fundamentals of homegrown sensibility. I'm homegrown, and I can feel and understand the pulse of our community. It starts when, like many of you, you wear many hats, right? You're either coaching Little League, or you're up with the high school with PTSA, and trying to find every way to improve the health of our special community of this island. So we can all say that we all do different things, and we take it with us to where I'm at today as your council member for Moloka'i on the Maui County Council. Some of the efforts that I have brought back home serving in a council is funding for our STEM, our science, technology, and the robotics program at our high school and at our middle school. As a matter of fact, for all of our schools. It is the first the county has supported something with the Department of Education. So I go back, and the first time I approached that funding, it was, no, that's the kuleana of the Department of Education. But when you have relationships with your members, you are able to convince them that no, all of these children are our children, and it's our kuleana to take Moloka'i students out there to compete. And you know what? We're on the map because of our kids. Very much so, not only in the field of athletics, but also in science. Thank you.
Okay, can I have 2 minutes to introduce myself? If you don't know me, I'm Brian Naiole, Kalamuna Homesteader, born and raised in Moloka'i. Okay, the questions that I will be asking of the candidates is, what is your personal policy on community-based co-governance and co-management of our natural resources? You want me to repeat that? Yeah, I don't know where this came from. What is your personal policy on community-based co-governance and co-management of our natural resources? County.
Mahalo for that question. I support community-based and community co-management of our natural resources. It has been successful in many other places, including Aotearoa. What the Ledge passed in 1994 as a result of our Moloka'i community saying that subsistence is important to our community was the community-based subsistence fishery area designation. And what this does is it allows the community to create their, to self-determine basically what rules that make sense for their community and for their area. In 2016, the first CDSFA designation was passed in Ha'ena on Kauai. And I attended the BLNR hearing for the CDSFA for Mo'omomi. And members from the Ha'ena community came out to this meeting, and they testified to the fact that the CBSFA designation has truly helped their community. It's made a tremendous positive impact on managing their resources. They were getting inundated by tourists, by commercial fishermen, and this whole management really came from our community. And so for the Mo'omami CBSFA, I see that as an important step in protecting threatened and vulnerable species. And this is an adaptive management plan. It doesn't mean that it will be in place forever. And I think it's a great way for the community to really take charge in saying that this is something important to us. Subsistence is important to us. Mahalo.
Mahalo for the question. It's a really good question. So, CBSFA, looking at it on the Moloka'i community, island community plan. It's called subsistence, it's called community based subsistence fishing area. So within our community, it is important that there is community involvement. And in this situation, there is controversial issue here because the community as a whole was never been involved. And so the question was asked of me last week and said, well, Cora, how would you manage other outsiders, commercial fishing? How would you manage them from not breaking our resources? Well, one is we have to identify if that's even a problem on Moloka'i side. Two is if there is a problem, then it would have to be the Ahapua or the district community to determine what is the problem and then brainstorm from there as a community. Now, just like the short-term rental, I would think that there should be a major penalty for those commercial. Make it difficult for them to commercial along our shorelines. Okay, thank you. And so, with that being said, the management should be within the Ahapua districts, and DLNR should have no reason to be involved. In our community plan right now, on page 190, it says that it's for every district. So we do have some concern because many of our community do not agree with that. Mahalo.
So if I heard correctly, it's how do you co-govern the community subsistence or from our natural resources? First of all, we all know we are a subsistence community. We live off the land, whether it's maka or Moloka'i. And our natural resources have always been the echo of our community, how we protect it, because that's our me'ai. But the other part, I think we have to separate. County has its jurisdiction, and the state has its jurisdiction. So when it comes to the ocean, it's our state government. And the natural resources, what we do on a county side is to make sure that our land use is protective of our environment and the natural resources. So that's how we separate, because we know where the state government come from, and as well as us. So when you come down to community-based subsistence fishing area, that is very basic of our island, community-based. And to subsist is so basic of our island also. So the intent for that is community involvement. If you look at our community, if I were to say how Kulana o Iwi was built, community-based. And that started from people being involved. If you look at our community health center, community-based. It's the community who got involved. And you see the fingerprints and the many hands that are involved in so many of our community entities that we have showing us today. As well as if you look at what we have at Lanikiha, it's community-based. So community-based is really from the bottoms up, who are us as a community, who has a say on how we want to determine what we value on our island, and then we go to the necessary legislation or the administration, or as well as to be mindful from the county's perspective that when we're working on a land use, this is what we value. Mahalo.
Okay, I got a lot of questions here, but I'm limited to asking four for each candidate. The next question would be, how are you going to address the crime and drug situation on Moloka'i? Or
First, I would welcome the community. Our community involvement runs with our community island plan. And in order to address this type of concerns, we need to get our community involved, because at a community level, we might be able to resolve the problem. So the first thing I would address is have the community announce that there is a big meeting regarding the different crimes and what type of crimes we have. We have from mental health services, mental health issues, to substance use, major substance use, and lack of maybe police officers. So the first thing you want to do is address the community with this issue. Then what we want to do is determine and identify whether or not we have the manpower to deal with this type of issue. And if the community is able to decide what part they want to play in problem solving, so be it. But we need to, one, get the community involved, identify what are these issues are, then start brainstorming as who should be responsible. And if it is at the department level on Maui, then we need to take it. But at least we need to do our homework here at the community level to address what it is, who would be responsible, and what type of concerns, and who in our community as a whole can address it. Mahalo.
So first of all, I will have to address it from a governance side. County Council, we budget monies and line items for our treatment and prevention services that we offer, not only here, but also on Maui and Lanai. So that's the first thing we try to do. And then there are the efforts that we work with. I think, to me, it starts from the home, and none of us, I think, are, have not been affected at one way or the other. So it takes a community to raise our children, and it takes a community for us to identify and find the resolves for substance abuse. We also have a lot of outsiders that are coming here with mental health challenges, and we do not have enough to address it with case management. I believe as a county council, we can partner with our state government and our state legislatures to identify how we can, first of all, we back up a bit. We have to have the human capacity and the human infrastructure, and that are the case managers, the counselors, people like Cora, who has to come home and work with us with the degree that they have to professionally address all of the ails of not drug abuse, but drug use. And it's not a matter of the abuse, it's a matter of use, that we lack the kind of infrastructure that we need to case manage our population who has all these problems, and the network of the new people that are coming in that are faced with many mental health challenges. So government can help, I believe, in trying to fund and really down with the police department also.
Okay, mahalo for that question. So drug use and drug abuse we have to approach it from looking at it as a symptom of a deeper problem. People who are mentally, emotionally, and spiritually whole and okay are not going to be abusing substances. And we have to approach it with compassion. A lot of pain, especially in the Native Hawaiian community, is caused from intergenerational trauma. And this trauma is passed down from our great-great-grandparents who had to suffer through our nation being stolen. So this is, it is in our DNA right now, and if we don't address the root of that pain, then that's the kind of symptoms that will result. And in addressing the person as a whole, the whole person, we have to address mental health, the cultural health, and the spiritual health, so that they can strengthen their identity and foundation in who they are, to give them hope for a better future. And I know that the Moloka'i Community Health Center is working on a program to address this exact thing. And if elected, this is a program that I would like to allocate funding to support, to address this deeper pain. And so we can see healing, because that's what our community needs. Our community needs more healing. And once we address that, then we can move forward with more education and empowerment. Mahalo.
Okay, this time we'll start with Stacy. This pertains to housing. Studies have shown that throughout the state of Hawaii, the ratio of Native Hawaiian homeowners appears to be disproportionate as opposed to foreign, parentheses, not born and raised in Hawaii, home ownership. What are your ideas to combat Maui County's affordable housing crisis and lack of Native Hawaiian home ownership?
I want to start off first with the Native Hawaiian ownership. We are blessed to have Department of Hawaiian Homelands. And in the work that is being done today, we are having the ability to allow our the next generation to come up with homestead houses. The other part too, when you look at from the county's perspective, county partners, county has to partner with our federal as well as state to first of all provide infrastructure as well as acquisitions of lands. And today, do you know and realize that the County of Maui has the most stringent regulations that makes it almost impossible for us to start building. But what we're doing in the Housing Committee, which I chair, is we're talking story with the different entities like the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. How can we partner? Can we as a county come in with the off-site infrastructure, which is the most high cost to provide houses? So for the Native Hawaiian, that is where we would work first base with, would be our state legislature and most of all the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, but we can partner to make it happen. As well as for the overall, I think we have to recognize that everything that our rules and regulations set forth for many years makes it almost a difficult task for the everyday residents to afford a home today. I think the going price is about $775,000. We cannot afford that today. So how do we do it? Government are not builders of homes, but we can help to provide the high cost of what is making it hard for us to attain that. Thank you.
Okay, mahalo for that question. And yes, it is a very important issue on Moloka'i and county-wide. So first, we need to get our affordable housing plan finished. Last year, the council allocated $250,000 for the completion of an affordable housing plan, and this is yet to be completed. And so this plan should provide us information on what is truly affordable for our residents. Identify lands that we can use to either help build affordable housing or affordable rentals on. To also identify partners such as Moloka'i, who has an affordable housing land trust, and to see if that's something that we would like to invest more in. Because we all know the reason that housing is so expensive is because the land is so expensive. So if we take away that cost, then it makes housing more affordable. And so the county also needs to establish an affordable housing czar, and that would be that person's primary responsibility. And we can also look into tiny homes, also what was previously called dignity villages, so that we have a first step for those who can afford that much, and then they can build equity and save up, and then they can move into a bigger home. And as Auntie Stacy had talked about, partnering with other state agencies such as the HHL. The HHL has the land, county has money, and we could see if this is something that how we can work this out to improve our community. Mahalo.
Well, we've been talking about affordable housing and money allocation, but the fact is that you need an infrastructure first, and that is the water, infrastructure of the water, and also you need to, according to our community plan, we gotta go back to our community plan because that's our guidance as to the do's and don'ts on each island, Moloka'i as well as Maui. So I would think that we need to deal with the land allocation or the designation of what you can build. We need to determine that first. Then we also need to determine the water pipe and whether or not there is water. Certain areas on Maui, there's no water, or there's difficulty of running the water pipe system. As far as the DHHL on Moloka'i as well on Maui, is that DHHL has its own jurisdiction. Although there is there is money that is allocated for affordable housing, but same problem. The water is an issue. Until we address that, then we can talk about building affordable homes. As far as what type of homes that might be affordable, with not only tiny homes, but also the mobile homes. The mobile homes are just as beautiful and affordable. Looking at partnership. We need a partnership. The state had also allocated money to the county, and also the state also had allocated money to DHHL. And talk about DHHL, OHA has an involvement piece in this too, which they are supposed to be helping the Hawaiian homesteaders just as much. So we put our entities together, partnership both at the county and state level, our needs can be met. Mahalo.
Okay, this will be the last question for the county council candidates, and there's a lot of questions in there that kind of group all into one. So I'm gonna just pick the ones that they all pertain to the same thing. The last question, which will start with Kiani, is relationship with Hawaiian leaders. What kind of policy maker are you? Study the issues impacting Native Hawaiians, or consult with us and act on our best ideas? How will you maintain access to our voices and our ideas after you're elected?
exactly why I'm running, really. I feel that our community's voice has not been as strong as it could be. And it's for various reasons. For me, I'm a community organizer. Making sure that our community's voice is heard during decision making and acted upon is why I'm running. I've been advocating for video chat testimony. So as residents of Moloka'i, we know very well the difficulty of being geographically disconnected from the location of where decisions are made. So in Wailuku, in Oahu, for this race, Wailuku. And right now, we have to go to Auntie Ella's office, whoever can, and it's usually during work hours, and testify via telephone. I advocate for video chat testimony because we already have that technology. It already exists, and it should have been implemented long ago. Video chat testimony should be available for people who, wherever they are. So many of us have 9-to-5s and can't just leave our jobs to go and testify. So if you have your phone and you can FaceTime or you can Skype, you can use these technologies to be able to video your testimony from where you are. And so it's also helpful for kupuna who can't just leave their homes. And we also need to create a public access room so that we can help our community members understand how to be engaged, how to write testimony, how to track bills, where to find it, how to navigate the county website. This is all really important information. And by not having this, we're not giving our community members access to us and to decision making. Mahalo.
Mahalo for the question. First and foremost, when we talk about policy making, management making, we gotta get our community involved. That is what our community island plan is all about. And your question was, why don't you repeat the question? I think you said something about the Hawaiians.
Yeah, let me repeat. Relationship with Hawaiian leaders. What kind of policy maker are you? Study the issues impacting Native Hawaiians, or consult with us and act on our best ideas? How will you maintain access to our voices and our ideas after you are elected?
Well, it shouldn't be any difference before or after. I like to think what we say we're going to be doing. So I would like to think that when we start looking at Hawaiian rights, we first and foremost have to make sure that we address a community as a whole, not just Hawaiians, because we got a lot of Filipinos, Hawaiian, Chinese, it's a mixed pot. But when we talk about Hawaiians in this question, is that we got to look at the rights that we have right now, and how do we keep it, and how do we move forward with our generation to come. When we talk about different Hawaiian organizations, it is adamant that we know how to partnership with these private entities so that we can not only meet our needs, but also meet needs of other culture as well. In our community plan, we have dismissed the other cultures, and it is adamant that when I'm elected, I will make sure that the other race are being considered in our community plan. Mahalo.
So Brian, I'd like you to repeat that question.
Okay, this is once again the relationship with Hawaiian leaders. What kind of policy maker are you? Study the issues impacting Native Hawaiians, or consult with us and act on our best ideas. How will you maintain access to our voices and our ideas after you are elected?
Well, if I were to just judge it on our community, we do access one another. Though we may not always agree, we do have major ongoing dialogue and discussions. So as an elected official, first of all, on the county level, I think that's what we have to distinguish. We have HRS, we have state laws that gives us all the, as much of the protection we need as Native Hawaiians, whether it's the gathering rights, whether it is for us to have public access, and what have you. I don't think we have a problem as far as our island and its voices and having access to be heard. I think we have some people right here in our audience who have been very vocal and have been heard, and changes have been made. So today, you have the discussion with Ahakiole or the Ahamoko, and that is a process that has been set forth and recognized by the DLNR. But that came about through voices and access as far as Native rights. So on the county level, it's to identify the land use, because that's our authority in how we identify the use of our lands, not to develop or to put into open space, and to recognize the cultural significance that we have. One thing I see different on Maui, they fight for open space. As I noticed here when we founded the Moloka'i Land Trust, is to resurrect the value of our cultural significance of the lands that goes back and tells the story. We also look at protecting our rich, pristine coastal area. We also look at the natural growth of our native plants. Thank you.
Yes, I know your name. Can you please stand up? Keanu Rollins, Cora Caparito, and Stacey Kino. These are your candidates for 20,000 members. Let's get a big hand. Big hand for standing in front of you. Mahalo. Okay, next up is